Hello everyone, welcome to Logo Learnings. So in today's session we are going to look at the NCERT solutions of the first chapter of the NCERT textbook of class 12, the Indian economy on the eve of independence. So in the previous sessions we have discussed about the contents of the chapter, that is about what all things are there in the chapter. So I have clearly explained everything. So before watching this video, please do refer those videos too, because it would be helpful for you to understand the question answers. I have clearly explained the many points of these question answers in those videos, so it would be helpful for you. So the coming straight to the first question, that is, what was the focus of the economic policies pursued by the colonial government in India? What were the impacts of these policies? So what was the intention of these colonial policies, or the introduction of these colonial policies in India, and what was the after effect of these policies? So the first point is, these colonial policies pursued in India were concerned more with the protection and promotion of colonial interests and not with the development of Indian economy. So they had no intention to develop the Indian economy, but they were doing, or they introduced all these colonial policies, economic policies in India to expand and spread their power and to protect and promote their home country and their interest, that is Britain and its interest. Then coming to the next topic, next point. So the next point is for the development of Britain. So what do that mean for the development of Britain? That means they have done all the things in India for the welfare of, to gain profit and to strengthen their country. Then third point is, during colonial rule, India was a poor and underdeveloped country. So we were in poverty because India's per capita income was one of the lowest in the world. So the people were in poverty due to lack of occupation, then and so on. Then underdevelopment. Then coming to the next point, that is, agriculture was in poor condition. So due to the commercialization of agriculture, all these terms, that is commercialization of agriculture, deindustrialization, everything is explained in the previous sessions, so please do watch it. Before watching this video, it will be very helpful. Then agriculture was in poor condition. So agriculture was in poor condition due to commercialization of agriculture. The next point is, India lacked the industries, and the small industries declined because we were denied to modernize industries. These policies denied us to modernize industries and to start new industries in India. Then people were unemployed, and there were no job in India. So there were no job opportunities in India, as well as people were, so due to that the people were unemployed. Then the per capita income was one of the lowest in the world. Per capita income is the per head availability of income of each citizen in India or in any country. So it was first estimated by Dadabhai Navroji, and the most significant estimation was made by V.K.R.V. Rao. And so the per capita income was one of the lowest in the world itself. So India's per capita income was one of the lowest in the world. Then people lived in poverty and lacked nutritious and healthy food, as we lacked opportunities for a job. We were unemployed. As a result, people find it difficult to meet their daily or basic necessities. Then coming to the last point, in a nutshell, we can summarize all this. In a summary of all these points, we can say that we can conclude that India was not allowed to develop its own identity. So we were controlled by the Britishers. So we had no right to create our own identity. They were destroying all our identity. Then coming straight to the second question, that is, name some notable economists who estimated India's per capita income during the colonial period. So they are Dadabhai Navroji, V.K.R.V. Rao, William Digby, then Friendly Shiraz, and R.C. Desai. Please do remember these names. And I have also said that Dadabhai Navroji was the first estimator of per capita income, and V.K.R.V. Rao was the has done the most significant and important estimation of per capita income. Then coming to the third question, that is, what were the main causes of India's agricultural stagnation during the colonial rule? So what was the main cause of the agricultural stagnation in India during the colonial rule? So during the colonial rule, the agriculture was primitive and stagnant. That means it was limited, and due to some policies, we were not able to expand it. So the first one is a land tenure system or the land settlement system, such as zamindari, mahalwadi, rayatwadi, introduced by the Britishers to gain power in India. So the zamindars were the actual landowners, and they were collecting rent from the farmers, irrespective of their economic condition. So this exploited the peasants. They also acted as a middleman or an intermediary between the cultivators and the government. Then coming to the next point, commercialization of agriculture. The growth of cash crops were encouraged in India rather than the growth of food grains. So the food grains declined, which led to famine and starvation. Then coming to the last point, that is partition of the country. So rich food producing parts went to Pakistan, such as the parts of Punjab and so on. So this led to food crisis during the eve of independence in India. Coming to the fourth question is name some modern industries which were in operation in our country at the time of independence. So, at the time of independence, some modern industries were working in India. So those names are given here. The Tata Iron Steel Company, that is Tisco, was incorporated in the year 1907 in Jamshedpur, Bihar. Then some other industries which had begun after the Second World War were sugar, cement, chemical, and paper industries. So, coming to the fifth question, that is, what was the twofold motive behind the systematic deindustrialization affected by the British in pre independent India? So, what was the twofold motive, or what was the intention of the deindustrialization of India? So, there are nearly 2 points, it's very important. So, the same answer, that is the deindustrialization of India and its twofold motive, that is the answer for the decline in the handicraft industry. Also, we will see that question in the coming session, in the coming slides. So the twofold motive behind the deindustrialization are to attain the raw materials from India at cheap rates. To attain raw materials from India at cheap rates, that means they considered India as a supplier of raw materials, or they exported raw materials from India, considered India as an exporter of raw materials. Then the second one is to sell final consumer goods or final finished goods from Britain at higher prices. So to sell those final goods from Britain, produced in Britain in India, at higher prices, so that they can earn profit, and they are not giving any sort of payment for these exports made from India. So the twofold motives are they to attain raw materials from India at cheaper rates, and to sell final goods and consumer goods from Britain at higher prices. So that's all about this question. Coming to the next question, that is, you can write either way as first way as a supplier of raw material, or the second way as the exporter of raw material, or to attain raw materials at cheaper rates. And the second point also can be written as an importer of finished goods from Britain, or as a place to sell the finished goods from Britain at higher prices. So you can write the either way. Coming to the sixth question. The sixth question is, the traditional handicraft industries were ruined under the British rule. Do you agree with this view? Give reasons for your answer. So that's what I have told in the previous session. In the case of decline of handicraft industries, also we can write. So the same answer is coming: deindustrialization of Indian economy, and that part of the question, or that part of answer can be written. So the main cause of the for the decline in handicraft industry was the deindustrialization of Indian economy. Then explain the twofold motive, that is, they considered India as a mere supplier of raw materials and an exporter of finished goods from Britain, and the Britishers followed discriminatory tariff policies. So, what is this tariff policy? Tariff policy means that taxes imposed by the government on the foreign trade. So, that was also discriminatory. Tariff policies means very high, so it was a burden to India. Then this allowed easy export of raw materials and import of finished goods. So, these tariff policies allowed easy export and import of raw materials, and this led to the decline of handicraft industries in India. So, coming to the next question, that is seventh one. What objectives did the British intend to achieve through their policies of infrastructure development in India. That means what was the actual intention or motive of Britishers to develop infrastructural facilities in India. So the basic infrastructural facilities were developed, and the infrastructure was railways, roadways, airways, waterways, ports, then post and telegraph, etc. Then coming to the next point, the main intention of the development of these infrastructure was to safeguard or promote and protect the colonial interest, and to gain profits for their home country, that is Britain, so not for the development of India. So the motive of Britishers was to have effective control and administration over India. That means to spread and expand their power in India. Then to earn profit through foreign trade of India. So to earn profit, so they earned huge surplus from the foreign trade of India, which were used to meet the expenses on wars, then expenses on the offices of the colonial administration, and on the import of invisible goods. So what is the import of invisible goods? I have been telling in the previous sessions too about the invisible goods. So what is those invisible goods? Invisible goods means services like tourism, insurance, etc. So such imports were made. And the next point is to mobilize army and carry raw materials to ports for transporting it to Britain. So to mobilize or for the movement of army within the country, British army within the country, and to carry raw materials to ports. So from the production area to the ports, to transport raw materials to ports so that they can transport it to Britain. That was the aim. Then to create opportunity for profitable investment of British funds in India. So for making profit. So this infrastructure was also done to make profits from India for the development of Britain and not Indian economy. The eighth one, that is critically appraise some of the shortfalls of the industrial policy pursued by the British colonial administration. So what was the shortfalls of the industrial policies by the British administration? So first one is of course the deindustrialization, that is decline of Indian handicraft industry, which led to the decline of handicraft industries of India. Then their purpose was to export raw materials from India at cheaper rates, and to sell the finished goods or finished consumer goods from Britain at higher prices. Then Britishers neither permitted modernization of industries and growth of heavy industries in India. These were discussed in the previous questions too. So they haven't allowed us, their policies restricted us from modernizing our industries and to start or grow or start and develop our industries or industries in India. Then cotton textile industries dominated by Indians, were mostly set up in the western parts like in the Maharashtra and Gujarat, and the jute textile mills are dominated by foreigners or Britishers, were set up in Bengal. Then Tiscor, that is Tata Iron and Steel Company, was incorporated in August 1907 in Jamshedpur, Bihar. And some other industries like the sugar, cement, chemical and paper industries were set up after the Second World War. And the limited operations of the public sector. That means the public sector were only operating in railways, communication and such fields, and not they were not operating in other sectors of the economy. Then the ninth question, what do you understand by the drain of Indian wealth during the colonial period? So the drain of Indian wealth was told by Dadabhai Navroji, one of the estimators of per capita income, the first estimator of per capita income. Then the next point is, this implies that the Britishers imposed a restrictive policies in India to snatch maximum profits from Indian economy or Indian trade. So they wanted to snatch maximum profit. So they implied, or this implies that they created and introduced many restrictive policies in India to snatch or to gain maximum profits from Indian trade for the development of Britain. Then no payment was made for the exports of exports from India. So the no payments were made for the exports from India or exports of India. Like in the case of gold or silver or money, they haven't made any sort of payment for India. Then the surplus that they earned from India were used for expenses on wars, for meeting the expenses on wars, then expenses in the offices set up by the colonial administration, and the imports of invisible items. So the imports of invisible items means imports of insurance, the several services like insurance, tourism, etc. Then coming to the 10th question, that is, which is regarded as a defining year to mark the demographic transition from its first to the second decisive stage. So the year of a great divide, or the defining year of demographic transition, is 1921. Before it, we were in the first stage of demographic transition, and after 1921, we were in the second stage of demographic transition. And what is first stage and what is second stage is defined, or I have explained it detail in the second part of the Indian economic development chapter 1. And please do watch that video, that is the previous videos. Then give a quantitative appraisal of India's demographic profile during the colonial period. So these points are also explained in the second part, demographic transition, about the demographic condition of India, that is high birth rate and high death rate. Why high birth rate and why high death rate? So high birth rate was because of what? Lack of family planning, and high death rate was because of the lack of medical facilities. Then the next point is high mortality rate. High mortality rate means the death rate. Then high infant mortality rate, then a low literacy rate, low life expectancy, low standard of living, and all the explanations of these points are given in the last video. Coming to the 12th question, that is, highlight the salient features of India's pre-independence occupational structure. So pre-independence occupational structure, that is, occupational structure means the distribution of workforce among different sectors of the economy. Which all are the different sectors of economy? There are mainly three sectors of the economy: the primary sector, or the agricultural sector and allied activities; the secondary sector, or industries and manufacturing sector; the tertiary sector, or the service sector. The predominance of agriculture sector, that means about 70 to 75 percentage of the people were working in agricultural sector, which led to over employment and disguised unemployment or underemployment. Then other sectors were not at all developed, so people had no other way of livelihood, so everyone depended on agriculture. That's why India was considered as an agrarian country. Then the second one is growing regional variation. That means in some areas we had a decline in the agricultural sector, like in the Madras presidency. Then Bombay and Bengal. Madras presidency included the southernmost states of India, like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, then Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, and there was an increase in some areas like the Punjab, Orissa, and Rajasthan. Then thus India's occupational structure was static and unbalanced. Then the next question, that is 13th one, underscores some of India's most crucial economic challenges at the time of independence. So the at the time of independence, what all challenges that was there for India? So the first one is little industrialization and the decline of handicraft industry. So little industrialization, that means the Britishers deindustrialized India, so there was little industrialization. So the industrial sector must be developed, and the handicraft industries must be also developed. Then the next one is a low agricultural production or a productivity and high imports of food grains. So we know that the commercialization of agriculture, due to commercialization of agriculture, the Indians were forced to produce cash crops, and we lacked the food grains, which led to famine. So we imported food grains mainly from USA. Due to that, so we were not even able to meet our basic necessities. Then coming to the third point, the low per capita income and national income. So the per capita income was one of the lowest in the world. So then per capita income is the per head availability of income, and national income means the total income of the country, of all citizens of the country. Then extreme poverty, due to that we were in because we lacked occupational facilities, unemployment and underemployment existed. So the extreme poverty, we were in extreme poverty. We found it difficult to meet the basic necessities. Then high rate of mortality rate, that means very high mortality rate. IMR means infant mortality rate. Then illiteracy, then a low life expectancy and standard of living due to lack of income. then income and other basic facilities. Then the 14th question, when was India's first official census operation undertaken? So the first census was taken in the year 1881. So what is census? A census means about the census means details taking details about the population. So the first census was taken in the year 1881, and it comes under the heading demography. Demography means a study of population. Then the 15th question indicate the volume and direction of trade at the time of independence. So, indicate or describe the volume and direction of trade at the time of independence. India has been an important trading nation. So, India was an important trading nation, but the restrictive policies for the production of the commodity and tariff. Tariff means the taxes of the government on the foreign trade. So, that such things pursued by the British government had adversely affected the structure, composition, and the volume of the India's foreign trade. So the India was considered as a net exporter of raw materials and an importer of finished goods from Britain. That means the deindustrialization of India. So that's the points of the deindustrialization of India, and Britain had monopoly control on foreign trade. So these points are very clearly or fully explained in the previous videos. I have explained it in the previous video. So they had monopoly control on foreign trade so that they can maximize the profits from India, or they can gain more profits from India to develop Britain. So now we have reached the last and final question, that is the 16th one. Were there any positive contributions made by the British in India? Discuss. So we know what all are the negative contributions of Britishers, because they introduced a decentralization of India, then commercialization of agriculture. These all are the points of negative side. So as a coin has two sides, that is a positive side and a negative side. We can say that there is a positive side, there is also a positive side for the British rule. So some of the points are listed here. So commercialization of agriculture implied a good breakthrough in agriculture. That means we came to know about the new technologies, and everything enhanced, and resulted in self-sufficiency in food grain production. So we know that how to produce good agriculture in much more developed manner. So it also helped in the self-sufficiency in food grains. Then the development of infrastructure generated opportunities in economic and social growth. So the development of infrastructure allowed it resulted in the economic and social growth of the country. So it mobilized the movement of people from one place to another, enhanced the mobilization of people from one place to another, and so on. Then it also broke the cultural and the geographical barriers. Then the next point is railways enhanced the movement of people and goods over long distances. Then the supply of food and essentials could be made available to drought affected areas through transportation. So actually the weather roads were not developed, or the infrastructure was only developed for the purpose of the Britishers, or for the satisfaction of the Britishers, and the weather roads still existed in India, and people found it difficult to move from one place to another in the rural areas in bad weathers, in rainy season, and so on. But we can consider it as one of the positive side, because supply of food and essentials was also made important, or made easier. And also the air transport, water transport, such facilities were also introduced in India by the Britishers. And also Indian economy witnessed a huge expansion of monetary system and growth. So due to the Britishers, or due to the British rule, we knew how to develop India, and we end up with a decision of democratic rule. The leaders end up with a decision of a democratic rule. So the session is over. Hope this session is very clear and helpful for you, and please do comment your queries in the comment section, and please do subscribe my channel, and press the bell icon so that you get notified whenever I upload a video. So I am concluding this session. Thank you, thanks for watching, have a nice day.